Hi, Becky here. Okay, so I'm gonna just start and sorry I haven't uploaded a video in a while. Not that I have many subscribers, mainly because I'm not sure what my whole channel's about. But anyway, getting on to the main topic. So, I'm gonna just talk about some paranormal experiences that I would say have happened to me from what I can remember from when I was a kid until now. Reason being is because I was on YouTube and I was watching other people. I came along like story time and I was watching some things and I was like, oh wow, like some of the things people were talking about, I was like, I can completely relate to this. So right, I'll start from the beginning. The first thing that I can remember that happened to me would have been when I was about 4. So I used to live in Scotland. So when I was 4, I lived in this house and I have like silly memories of like my carpet was pink and what the hallway and stuff looks like. I always remember my room. Sort of remember my room. So basically what happened was, in the middle of the night, I used to always hear my name being called out to me. So I used to always hear this all the time. I used to even be woke up by my name being called out in the middle of the night. But I thought when I was young that everybody heard their name be called out to them in the middle of the night. I thought, this is just a thing that happens. Everybody's name gets called out to them. This is normal. And it wasn't until I got older, and it hadn't happened to me in years, and I got older and then I realised like the voices or my name calling in the middle of the night must have gone on until I was about 10 maybe, and then they just kind of stopped. Like I can't think of any recent times that I've heard them, and I never really thought anything of it until I was like I was talking to somebody about it. Like I was talking about my experiences to somebody and it came up and I was like, oh flip, I completely forgot about that. But anyway, so that was one thing that happened to me that I always remember when I was 4. The next thing that happened to me was when I faced my wall. I used to like always face my wall, but I was kind of scared to face my back against my room. I used to face my wall at night. I had a terrible fear of something ridiculous. I had a fear of a puppet wolf that was going to jump up and eat me. I have no idea where this came from or why I was scared of it, but this was my biggest fear at that time when I was 4. So when I was facing the wall, I have an older sister, and I felt like somebody shoved me on my back when I was facing the wall, and it woke me up. Like properly shoved me on the back. So I like woke up and was like, oh, like what are you doing? Like I thought it was my sister. So I jumped up and I went to I rolled over quickly to tell her off, and then she wasn't in my room. So I like ran into her room, which was like next to mine, to basically be like, what are you doing? Like why did you do that? Like you really scared me. And I went into her room and I didn't realise how early it was in the morning, and she was in bed sleeping. And I was like, my mum and dad aren't going to come into my room and shove me on my back. So that freaked me out, right, properly freaked me out when I was really young, and I can't remember how my mum would probably just said, oh, it was nothing. So that's all I can remember from then. The next thing that sticks out in my mind is when I was 6. So we moved country and stuff, and we went into like a rented house for a while till we got like schools and stuff sorted out. And I always remember my room. My room it had these ancient creaky floorboards, and my bed was in the middle of the room. And there was like an old mirror and a chest of drawers. And that's literally like pretty much all that was in it. So I went to bed one night and I woke up and there was all these people, no word of a lie, all these people standing around my bed. But they were like, the only way that I can think to describe it is they were white, but they were see-through and they were extremely detailed. So I panicked and I was like, oh my gosh, and I shut my eyes and I was like just go away, go away. And then I opened my eyes because I thought maybe if I shut my eyes I'm just imagining it or I'm dreaming. And then as soon as I opened my eyes, they were still there. And then I just remember like as I was panicking that because they hadn't gone away, like just like somebody's hands like coming up my covers. So I freaked out and I jumped out of my bed and I ran into my mum's room. there was just like a man standing in the corner of my mum's room, and my heart sank, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, because I had no idea what was going on. And I always remember this. So anytime I tell people this, I'm like, oh, you're gonna think I sound crazy, or this sounds ridiculous, because I know how it sounds. I know how I would feel if somebody else told me this. I'd be like, are you sure? Really? Okay. Do you know, I would feel a bit like, I don't know if I believe someone if they told me, but it's because I can remember it. Like, people will say to me, oh, were you dreaming? Or like all these different things, and I'm like, I couldn't have been dreaming, because I shut my eyes really tight and opened them and they were still there. Like, I don't know. That's how I remember it. But when you're young, you can remember things differently, like how the size of things in shops. Like, I used to think everything was gigantic, and then I grew up and I was like, oh, well, it's not that big. I used to always hear like breathing in my room, but that wasn't, I used to always like sense things. Like, I could like sense if like, you know, if like someone's standing behind you. I used to be able to like feel if someone was like behind me when they weren't. But we moved to this one house. The next house we moved to, this was the worst that it had ever been. We had loud bangs in the middle of the night. It sounded like they were coming from the attic, and nothing was wrong, nothing had moved, everything was still in place. Just the horrendously loud bangs in the middle of the night. Now, our house, when we lived there, it was kind of confusing. It was in two different parts. We had like the main house, and then my grandparents came over to Scotland to stay with us because they weren't very well. So we had like a separate part of the house for them, but they ended up getting homesick and leaving. So me and my friends had like this separate part of the house. So it still had your bathroom, it had a kitchen, like a lounge and all in it. So it seemed great, like, oh, this is so cool, right? This was the worst part of the house. This was the most terrifying part of the house, right? Everybody admits now that I have moved. They hated when they were left alone in that house. Like, if I ran through, we used to say next door, if I ran through to the main house and left them next door, they hated being left there by themselves. My gran says she never ever wants to talk about when she lived there. And we have a lot of bad things that happened to us just when we lived there. So there was a cat that we used to know in the neighbourhood that used to come kind of around. Me and my friends on Halloween, of course, had watched like all these horror films and were terrified. And we let this cat in through the window. We're like, oh, my mum will never know. And like, we were just like playing with her and stuff, and then that was fine. So the next minute we're all like just sitting there, and we just hear like doof doof doof. It's probably the worst sound effect, but like bang 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 bang. And my friend looked at me and she's like, where's the cat? What's it doing? So I like was like, oh, I don't know, I'll go check. So my stairs were like turned. They were like a wee bit of stair and then you turn. So I like peeked my head around the corner of the stairs, and the cat was jumping from the middle stair to the top stair, to the middle stair, to the top stair. And I was like, what are you doing? I was like, what's wrong? And she just stopped at the top stair and looked up to the attic and started meowing. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, come here, like trying to grab her. And she just ran away from me. She just didn't come anywhere near me, she just ran away. And I thought, okay, it's fine. She'll just come out when she's ready. Because she ran and hid under one of the beds. So this freaked everybody out. So another thing that happened was, me and my friend were just being idiots. Like being really random and silly. Because everybody used to always say that we sounded the exact same on the phone. So I got my phone out and I started recording our voices. And I was like, oh, hey. And then she'd be like, oh, hey. Right, just really daft stuff to see how like we actually sounded, right? So we listened back and we were just laughing and stuff. And at the very end of the video, there was a man's voice saying, fuck. So we were like, what on earth? Like, did you hear that? And like, we just kept listening to this over and over again. I sent the recording to her phone. I put it on my computer and saved it. So we had 3 copies of this. I showed my mum, and my mum just looked at my dad and was like, what is that? And then my mum just kind of looked at me and was like, look, if it's not doing you any harm, just leave it alone. Just don't even bother with it. So I was like, oh my goodness, okay, like trying to think of all these things that it could be, and I left it. And then I used to have a guitar, and I went through next door and I thought, oh, I'm gonna play this tune that I've been practicing. So I like started playing the guitar, and then as I listened back to it, sat there next door by myself when everyone was out, and as I played it back, before I went testing 1, 2, 3, and then there was a man's voice saying fuck. So my heart sank and I was like, oh my gosh. So I ran back up the stairs and was like, oh flip. All the recordings are gone, which was strange. My phone, her phone, and my computer all broke. My computer just randomly decided to break. Our phones broke, so we don't have the recording anymore. Which I thought was weird. I was like, maybe it's just a coincidence. Like, all these weird stuff happens. Like, there was times where I left a bag in the bathroom. Just a bag full of like stuff. So it was in the bathroom, sitting up there, like perfectly on the ledge. There's no way, unless somebody moved it, that it could fall. So I was downstairs with my friend watching like a movie, and it was fine. Again, wasn't thinking of anything, wasn't like worried about any paranormal stuff. I was like, oh, it's fine. So we're watching a film, and then we just heard this almighty bang from upstairs, and my heart sank, and I was like, oh my god, it's happening again. And we just looked at each other, and I was like, I don't even want to go upstairs. I don't even want to know like what it is. So I like slowly went upstairs, right? For some reason I noticed that it always seemed to happen in the bathroom. Like anything weird happened in the bathroom. I walked into the bathroom and my bag was on the floor and everything in it was all over the floor. Everything. And my heart sank and I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't know what this is. Like I don't know how this has happened. There was another day that I turned around, like there was a mirror we used to have sitting on like near the window, and I just turned around to like say something to my friend, and the mirror like just dropped behind me and smashed. It's like there's no way, like it was a heavy mirror like on like a ledge. Like you might think, oh, it could have easily have slipped off, but it's like not unless somebody pushed it, or I don't know. So there's all these things that happened. There was I had a friend thing on my door, and it was stuck like properly super glued to my door. My friend had got it back from like Canada, and I'd stuck it on my door, and it was like a friendship thing. And then we were all in bed, and there was a bang again, an almighty bang, like this massive bang in the middle of the night. And we find, like, I wasn't sure, I can't remember if I was there when it happened or if my mum told me about this, because it was so many years ago. But I remember my mum saying, oh, I must have been in the house, because I remember my mum saying, did you hear that bang last night? And I was like, oh, maybe I was sleeping. It was in the middle of the night, and I was like, I think I was like, yeah. And then she was like, we found out what the bang was. So there was my room, my mum's room, and then my sister's room was like at an angle. And it was like a wooden thing stuck to my door, super glued to my door, was lying face down outside of my sister's door. I mean, you would think if it fell, it would fall outside my door and land. What was the bang though? Like it was like it had flung against another door and made like a really loud bang. It was just lying face down outside my sister's door. The other thing, which still happens to me, I'm trying to squeeze these all in so it's not really boring. Probably is boring, but still. I always hear like a breathing, like someone standing in the corner of my room and they're breathing. And this has happened to me like in nearly every household that I've lived in. It happens to me in this household, in this room that I'm in, which is why I'm trying to do this video with some daylight, because I'll be scared later. So yeah, that freaks me out. I really want to go to a medium to try to find out if there's something following me, if it's the houses. The house where things kept banging, kept moving. We even heard voices. Me and my friend were through next door, and we were just like, we were messing about, being silly, talking, and then we heard like a bang come from the kitchen. So I automatically was like, oh, something must have just fell. Something's fell, it's fine. And then I sat there, I was a bit, I don't know, with this household and the things that happen and the things that go bump in the night, normally it's not just a bang. So I was like sitting there and like staring at my friend as she like slowly walks over to the door. And no word of a lie, we hear like a noise come from the kitchen. What kind of kitchen appliance or what in a kitchen makes a noise? right? Oh my god, my heart sank. And I just looked at her and I was like, did you hear that? And she was like, mm-hmm. So we freaked out and we're looking at each other and I'm like, oh my god, I couldn't move. I completely froze. I was like, I can't sleep in here tonight. I was like, she's like, I can't either. I was like, we're gonna have to go through to my room, like, in the main house. Like, it was horrible. It was a horrible feeling. We had to like switch off all the lights, run up the stairs, like run through to my room, and it was just like this horrible feeling of we're gonna die. It was, but I still don't know what it was. Don't know what it was. But that house that we lived in was the worst. There's like 100 things that I could go into more detail in, but I'm just trying to get from when it started to now. The house that I live in now, my mum basically told me if anything else happens, it's not the house that's haunted, it's you. Like, that's comforting. Thanks, Mum. So, moved into this house, and I was like, oh, fine, I'm feeling fantastic. Nothing's happened to me yet. And then, day 3, or day 4, in this house, sleeping in the dark and everything and feeling cool with it, my guitar decides to strum itself in the middle of the night. Right? There's no wind, there's nothing, right? There's nothing near my guitar, nothing. So my heart sinks and I'm like, oh my god, like, it's happening again. Everything's just gonna go to the way it was. It's gotta be me. Whatever this is following me. For whatever reason, I have no idea. So, the things that I get now are mainly like, things still disappear. Breathing in the corner of my room. Main stories, I could go into more detail and things, but I just kind of wanted to go from little bits and bobs throughout my life that have been happening. If you can like share your experiences or even have a response video to mine, that would be great. Because sometimes I'm like, am I going crazy? For example, I had not been sleeping and I was sitting in my room, right, like a crazy person with my light on. I could not turn my light off because every time I turned my light off, it would get mad and it would start breathing, and I would lie there and I'd be like, is it the wind? Is it this? Is it that? And then it would just get louder and louder. Or if I turn my back to it, it gets really angry and I can almost hear it walk over to my bed to the point where I feel like it's going to touch me and I freak out and I turn my light on. So this is where I'm at. And I'm sitting in my bed and I'm freaking out and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I can't turn the light off, right? I was so tired and I had work in the morning, or I tech or whatever it was at the time. And I was lying in my bed and I was like, I'm not crazy, right? I hadn't slept in like 2 weeks or something, so I was just tired and I wanted a good night's sleep. So I sat up in my bed and I was like, will you freaking leave me alone? Right? As I say this, my light next to my bed starts flickering on and off and my heart sinks and I'm like, oh my god, there is something in my room. I am gonna die. And then I was like, sorry, I just haven't slept in 2 weeks. Yeah, so I'm talking to myself in the middle of the night because I feel crazy because I can't sleep because of whatever this is. I have been to a few mediums in psychic expos that cannot explain to me what this is. If you know anything about this, please inform me. Or if you have any experiences similar to mine, like somebody breathing in your room, or you can sense them. Like, I have tons of more stories. I just wanted to make this kind of quick and short. It's pretty freaking long though, so I hope you guys enjoy. Thumbs up and subscribe. Thanks for watching.